Do you think that Ben Carson could turn off voters with those remarks who could perceive them as blaming the victims?
Oh, absolutely not, Pamela. That's just crazy talk. Look, the fact is, when something bad happens, it's up to us as adults to attack. The first strike in the war against terror wasn't done by our great Navy SEALs or our great Army or Air Force. It was done by innocent civilian Americans on United Flight 93 when they faced the enemy and they took action. In this case, it's important that all of us as adults look out for our brothers and sisters and take action. Sometimes you gotta fight. It's not fair, it's not right, but that's the way it is. And as Americans, we need to stand up to criminals, terrorists, and other people who would hurt our fellow Americans. Dr. Carson was absolutely correct.
So, Mark, is that crazy talk to say
Yes.
that those comments could be perceived as blaming the victim?
Basically, Ben Carson is not blaming victims, but what he is doing is saying that we should attack somebody with a gun as the primary resolution to what is clearly a gun control problem. That's my fundamental issue with him. What's wrong with the comparison you just gave, my friend, is that on a plane that's about to be crashed by terrorists, attacking the terrorist actually saves everybody. In this case, someone would essentially be volunteering to die by rushing the guy with the gun. He can't shoot everybody, but if I rush the guy with the gun, he's probably going to shoot me. Ben Carson should focus more on helping lead the nation into a sensible conversation about gun control, not getting rid of everyone's guns. That's a straw man and a red herring. Let's talk about sensible gun control so things like this don't happen.
Kurt?
Oh, Mark, no. Look, when we are faced with a crisis, when all hell breaks loose and there's an emergency, as adult Americans, we need to act. And sometimes sometimes you have to take personal risks to defend other people's lives. Look, I'm a soldier. I swore to defend the American people and the Constitution, and even when I retired, my oath didn't expire. But I'm obligated, not just because I took an oath, but because I'm an American, and I have to look out for my brothers and sisters and fellow Americans. I have to act.
Hold on, Kurt.
Maybe I have to take a risk. Maybe I get killed. So what?
Kurt, if you want
So what?
look,
You've
Kurt,
got to defend ourselves and our brothers and sisters.
Kurt, if you're in the room with me and the guy pulls out a gun, you, my friend, have every right to rush. In fact, I hope that you get the short straw and do it. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm not saying it's wrong to do it. I'm saying that it's not your obligation to do it. You're telling me if there's a room full of people, everybody in that room is obligated to go on the kamikaze mission and rush a shooter. But that's all of this is really not even the point. The point is that the right conversation to have after a mass shooting? Why not talk about gun control? Why not talk about getting guns out of people's hands so that we're not stuck in the ignoble paradox of deciding whether or not to die on the ground or to die bum rushing a shooter?
Well, look, it's better to die on your feet than live on your knees, Mark. Look, I have no doubt that if
it's
all
better
hell
to die
broke loose,
it's
you'd
better
be
to
there
die at 100 years
standing
old
up
in an
for other
elderly
people.
center. I'd rather die at 100 years old in an old folks home.
No.
That's an option if we take the
Look,
guns out of shooter's
sometimes
hands.
it's not fair. Sometimes it's not right, Mark. Sometimes you have to act. And, sometimes you're going to draw the short straw. And I think as Americans, we've forgotten that the world is a very tough and savage place. I walked through ruins and mass graves in Kosovo. I've seen what happens when armed people take on unarmed people and kill them. And I'm not going to let that happen here. And if I have to give up my life, then I'm going to give up my life. I'm not happy about it. I don't want to die. I have a lot to live for. So do you. But damn it, we can't give up in the face of terror. We never will. We never can.
Right, and
Dr. Carson's absolutely right.
The way to not give up in the face of terror is to take guns out of the hands of terrorists. In this case, this was a domestic terrorist who we could have disarmed perhaps through sensible legislation. I'm not talking about just this case, I'm speaking in general terms here. So for me, it's not a question whether or not one of us should attack a shooter. It's why are we talking about attacking shooters instead of getting rid of the gun so that we don't have a shooter?
So, Kurt, what do you think about that? Do you think we should be having more dialogue about what Mark points out, what to do about the fact that these guns are falling into the wrong hands?
Well, look, Americans have the right to keep and bear arms. This idiot bought his guns legally. This idiot had a right to have guns until he decided to commit a crime. The bottom line is Americans are not going to be disarmed. Americans are not going to give up their rights to protect themselves and their families because some creep decides to go on a shooting spree. I don't understand why my right to protect my family, my community, and my Constitution has to be infringed upon because some other idiot wants to kill me because I happen to be a Christian. That doesn't play. I only wish somebody in that school had carried a concealed weapon and knew how to use it and put a round through this degenerate's forehead and stop this massacre before it happened.
Yeah, we've seen hundreds of mass shootings, and they don't get stopped by some, Rambo figure with a gun who happens to, moonlight as a
teacher.
All,
Mark.
All
we
right,
have
guys,
not seen hundreds of mass shootings.
And on and
they have been stopped by
I let you duke it out. I let you duke it out, but we do have to move on. Kurt Schlichter, Mark Lamont Hill, thank you very much.
Pleasure.